Hi everyone, welcome back to the Academy of God. And this is part 3 and the last part of the series concerning the revelations that I received from God concerning black people. Now, what I want to share in this part of the video is about the Israelites. And as a continuation to the second part, where I all this journey started with me basically asking God which skin color Jesus had while he walked on earth. After the Lord basically revealed to me that on earth he was black, and the next question that I had was, well, if Jesus is black, then if Jesus was black on earth, then that means the people he lived with looked like him. So what about the Israelites, the Hebrews, the Jews? And this was my question because Israel is a nation, and the Jews, that's just a religion. The nation is Israel. And when I mean nation, I'm not talking about the land or the country. I'm talking about the people, as may call them a race, but the proper term will be as a lineage. Israel is a lineage of people. So I asked God about them, and he essentially started during a period of time. I think it was a week or a month. He will wake me up during the night and show me visions concerning these things. And at first, what he would do was waking me up and show me pictures of black people uh, that looked like your typical African person, and tell me this is essentially what the Israelites look like. But all this experience culminated when the Lord gave me a dream in which he showed me the people during after the destruction of the temple of Israel, during the temple of Jerusalem, during the Roman Empire, the time of the Roman Empire. And while the Jews were essentially running away from Jerusalem, they were fleeing because while the Romans were trying to eradicate them, God showed me how they started migrating into Africa. I saw them walking, and how they looked is exactly like the men that you see on the picture. They had this colorful dress on them, and it looked exactly like that. And they were walking, migrating inside of Africa, and they went um, south more. Well, they went inside of Africa and they basically stayed there, and they were carrying with them something under a tent. Now, can we argue whether that was the Ark of the Covenant or whatever? I don't know, but they were carrying things with them. You may call them artifacts. They were carrying them with them, and they were dressed like that, very colorful, not your black and white dress that the modern people living in the land of Israel wears usually. And this was essentially when the Lord started to really see that black people. I had that started to receive that confirmation that Israelites were black. Now, I'm not saying that every black people on earth is Israelite, but I'm saying that the Israelites, they were black. They had they looked like this type of person that you see on the screen. This tie also with something that the Lord also showed me recently, because these things concerning black people, Israelites being black, is something that He showed me years in the past. But something that He showed me more recently is a nation in Africa. Now, I don't remember that name. I don't really know a lot of Africans nations name. So I didn't remember that one, but I know it was in the western side of Africa. So you may say it was in West Africa. And in the dream I saw that it is a very poor nation. And that nation, the people who live there, God said that what God told me that these people he was calling them the Enochians, like the descendants of Enoch, essentially, that they carried the inside of them they were from the lineage, well, from God's perspective at least, they were from the lineage of Enoch. And God then told me, and then I received the understanding that these people, that Enoch essentially was an inventor, that he received knowledge from God to build a lot of things during his lifetime. And that knowledge carried through his DNA. And these people from that nation that God was calling them Enochians, they had inside of them, as you may call it, uh, intuitive knowledge, but they had carried in their DNA ancient knowledge. And essentially, I started to receive the understanding that these people had the ability to build things. And the word that was used was artifact. They had the capacity to build artifacts that was of tremendously advanced technology, because it came from knowledge that a man named Enoch received from God. And that knowledge was basically part of them. They just were not aware of it yet. And then God went on to say that a lot of people, gave me the understanding that a lot of people in Africa, the elders living in villages, they have artifacts from, they carry artifacts of advanced technology that they brought from the past, that were given to them by their fathers and their fathers and so on and so forth, that the elders keep, and they have kept secret until these days. And I believe that this was essentially from God, because if you see the part one of this series, you understand that there have been some kind of coup in history to erase the identity and the history of black people around the world. And I believe God knew in advance that things like that could happen. So he placed in the heart of these elders from in these villages in Africa to hide and keep these knowledge and ancient artifacts secret, and to keep them hidden until, well, I guess the right time comes. And the last thing that the Lord had showed me also concerning black people was Jesus, who took me in a dream, and Jesus showed me West Africa, and he told me that the people living there are he used the words the indigenous people of earth. These were the words that Jesus used, that they are the indigenous people of earth. So if you wonder what Adam and Eve looked like,